Hey everybody, welcome to the Renaissance Woodworker. This is my shop update and I've got a special guest with me this week. I'm up in my Maine shop and I've got Niles Krech from Kennebec. Some sort of Indian name, right?
Yep.
American Indian. I don't know what's politically correct anymore. Some site named Kennebec Saws. Niles is a hand tool school member. He's also an apprentice because he's a smart man. And he has been restoring saws for hand tool school members for about a year now, I think. I mean, you've been restoring saws for a while, but specifically in the hand tool school community, probably I would say just about anybody who's buying saws now through that community is getting them through this guy. He's been great about giving advice on how to sharpen saws, how to deal with saw sharpening problems. Since I had him here in the shop, I figured do a couple questions. So
let's do it.
Niles, lots of people are looking for saws, and there's not very many people making full-size hand saws, so you got to go vintage. What's your best resource for finding vintage saws?
I like Craigslist a lot, and I try to find your garage sales where someone's grandfather has 5 sitting on the wall. Usually can get them pretty cheap and pretty easy. My backup is eBay. I set up searches and I watch, but quick word of warning, when I do eBay, I look through literally hundreds before I even look at bidding at one of them. And that's maybe I'll get it, maybe I won't. They get pretty expensive, but garage sales first, eBay second, but be picky. Be picky on eBay.
Yeah, that's a good point. eBay is kind of the Wild West these days when it comes to all tools. I avoid it like the plague.
It's not the best, but you got to do what you got to do sometimes.
So definitely it's preferable to be able to lay hands on and look at the saw. So the second question would be, what's the first thing you're looking for? When you pick up Grandpa's saw at the flea market, what's the first thing you're looking at?
Number one big thing, pick it up, turn it upside down, sight down the middle, and right down the teeth. I want to see that it's straight. I want to avoid kinks. I want to avoid waves. It's just a big hassle. They made millions. Go find another one. There's more. But first thing, upside down, turn it. Look, because majority of people, they're not going to be able to fix a blade, and there's very limited people that can. So blade's the biggest thing I look at.
Great. So when it comes to actually sharpening the saw, it scares the crap out of a lot of people.
Sure.
And I've always said that, just sit down and do it. That's the first thing. What would you say would be the biggest obstacle to sharpen your first saw?
Sure. And like I said, intimidation is the biggest thing. They people have a little bit of knowledge, but they're worried they're gonna mess something up. But just have at it. Try it. You're not gonna do it unless you try. So just go at it.
It's a good point. There's more steel, right?
There is.
If you take off too much, you can always joint and start over.
That's right.
It's a good point. Just do it. Nike, hopefully Nike's not listening.
Just have at it.
Yeah, our lawsuit from Nike will come later. So the next question would be, we've gotten over the daunting part. We're sitting down, we're ready to go. Walk us through kind of the 10,000 foot view, your process of sharpening a saw. We're talking about nasty, rusty,
sure,
pulled it out of the bog, like Excalibur from the lake.
Yep.
Maybe too far, but what you do?
A little dirt, a little tarnish. So what we'll do is we'll clean it up. We use sandpaper and I use simple green, and I do stages up 200 to 600 grit, clean it up. Clean the handle. For a vintage saw, the first thing I do is I will joint the saw and then I'll shape it. Shaping gives you good geometry and allows all the gullets to be the same depth and all the teeth to be the same height. Once I have shaped the teeth, I then go back. I will overset them a little bit because next stage I'm going to joint it. So I'm basically eliminating some of that set that I put in there. Then I'm going to go through and sharpen. And sharpening is just simply the lighter version of that shaping that we did, but it gets at that final, last thing to touch that tooth was a saw file, and we're gonna have that nice, clean cut to the teeth. And then I'm gonna take my file at the end, put a little blue planer's tape right above the tooth, and on a flat surface, I'll run nice and gentle that micro bevel or that micro file over it, and remove that burr. We'll do a test cut. We're ready to go.
I think that last step is really key. I've seen it done so many different ways. I heard it stoning, filing. I've seen people use a mill file. I've used a mill file before,
yep,
and I've actually found that's way too aggressive.
Yep.
I like that you're using that little diamond paddle.
Yep.
It's the red one. I never know the grit of them. I have a blue one, a green one, and a red one. I think the green one's the finest, and the red one's somewhere in the middle.
The red's 25 micron, so that's what I use. And like I said,
whatever that means.
Yeah, it's
25 microns. It's more than 50 microns.
It's smooth. So yeah, I put enough pressure. It's enough pressure to hold this in place. I'm really not putting any downward pressure. It's just sliding it across, very light so it doesn't slip.
And you actually use that to kind of tune the saw. Because in the past, I've often like reset. Like if the saw's pulling one way or other, I'll set some teeth to kind of steer it back. You're
Correct.
actually filing to correct that.
Correct. So
That's smart.
Right.
It's
yeah,
a lot less aggressive.
If
than
a
what I was doing.
saw pulls to the left just a little bit, and I know it's not me making a mistake, I'll put that painter's tape back on, I'll make another light pass, another light run, and then I'll take that tape off, have a run at it, and that's going to be it, because they're just going to remove that little bit that's pulling rather than adding to the opposite side, because I don't know how much. So
That's great. Well, then last question. You do this. This is your job. Well, it's one of your jobs.
side job, yeah.
If somebody is they'll look at this and go, that just is stupid. Why would I want to do that? They can send it to Niles. Tell us, what services do you offer at Kennebec Saws?
So Kennebec Saws, my website, kennebecsaws.com. I do two services. One is I sell saws that are vintage and ready to go, and another one is that I accept saws in from customers who send them to me and want them redone. Unfortunately, some of my restored saws, they get behind a little bit. I don't put out as many because I get customers to send it and they take priority. So if you have a vintage saw and you want it sharp, you want it ready to use out of the box and have at it like it was when it first came off the production line, you can send it to me, contact me through my website. I'm also now selling supplies. So if you want Baco files, triangle files, which can be difficult to get and at better rates than anywhere else I can find, check out my website and check out the store.
And he's also got this like beginning saw sharpening kit. It's a little piece of spring steel. It's like a part of a saw with crosscut on one side and rip on the other side.
Yep.
It's a really cool kind of practice jig. If you are scared about it, buy one of his jigs and you can join it and take it down to nothing and just keep at it. And you don't have to worry about ruining a saw.
Yep.
So that's great. Niles, and I can tell you, I've got one of his saws, got one of his t-shirts too. And his sharpening is fantastic. It's on par with some of the finest saws that I work with. So Niles, I appreciate it. Thanks for coming up to the Maine shop. And
good to be here.
If anybody has questions, I'm telling you, kennebecsaws.com. See you, everybody.
See ya.